I'm Tanya, team manager for Rydell Shelter. The COVID pandemic placed increasing demands on the service that we run here in Redbridge. It was the morning of the 27th of March when government made an announcement that within 72 hours action needed to be taken for rough sleepers to be removed off the street. It was that day that we had a few hours to expand our service that was initially operating on one floor, 36 clients in the shared rooms, to an extended service that housed 52 clients.
The outreach team every day coming to triage, sometimes up to 10 people a day. Those people, some of the rough sleepers would move into Rydell, depending on their needs. Some would move into the forest hotels across London, and others would be placed into TA.
We had to make sure that we had adequate staffing, we had to rearrange our meal times, and also we had to source much needed resources and essential items.
Sophie, I came to Redbridge as a navigator at the beginning of lockdown. We went out as a team to assess everyone who had been placed in temporary accommodation under COVID legislation. It was a really interesting opportunity to go out to all these clients and really see what their needs were and how we could best help them. We found that there was an increase in the homeless population of those with no recourse to public funds who had previously been in unstable work. So we're now supporting them to access legal support and refresh asylum claims and hopefully get their status in the UK. We also found an increase of women, and we're working to improve our women's services and offer them support. We found that we need to support them in two main areas. The first being legal representation, either for naturalisation here in the UK or asylum appeals. The second has been a more holistic approach where we've helped them with their mental health needs, we've supported them in their accommodation, and we tried to provide them with activities to make their time here better.
I'm Chantel.
I'm Georgia.
We're training project workers at Rydell. Rydell in January became a 24-hour service. We joined right at the beginning of this change and have been able to adapt our knowledge over this into COVID when it started, working more intensely with clients and their support needs and their move-on plans.
COVID started our client group change quite drastically, which was a big change for us. We hadn't been here too long when March came around, and when it hit, everything came in-house. A lot of our clients that were coming in, thanks to new guidance from the government and everyone needing to be housed, were entrenched rough sleepers that previously weren't engaging with any services. We had to adapt our way of working to work with people that really weren't interested in working with us at the start. We were lucky enough during this time that a lot of other services that we were previously using came in-house as well with us. So since COVID started, we've had a GP here once a week on site. This has been great, particularly for that group of entrenched rough sleepers who already had ongoing health conditions that they weren't getting seen for. Having it on site, it was more in their comfort zone, in their environment, and it was a lot easier to get them to engage with this.
We also worked with people who had relationship breakdown and had loss of employment. So when they came in, we also had to work with them on their move-on plans, how they became more stable, working on them with their benefits to find new housing options. So we were referring them to floater support services in the area and other hostels such as Malachi and Jason House.
So the Good Mates project was born out of working with rough sleepers who in the Rydell shelter, specifically the Eastern European rough sleepers, who would come to me every day and say they just wanted to get into work, so they could then be financially stable to actually be able to not rough sleep again.
The aim of the project was to get clients from cash in hand work into full-time contracted secure employment.
A lot of them have been on the streets, rough sleeping for 2-3 years. They were being financially exploited through doing labour work, maybe getting £10-20 a day, working long hours, and there was no way for them to get themselves out of homelessness.
Some of the effects of the March 23rd lockdown on the Good Mates project was in relation to difficulties in accessing the embassies. The embassies closed down, or obtain IDs, passports, birth certificates for our residents. Construction sites also closed down. Employment training centres, CSCS training centres also closed down. So in terms of improving education for our residents, they were unable to continue with their courses or embark on courses. So it had a massive impact on our residents, some of whom also lost their jobs. They were working in construction, they were working in hospitality services. So a lot of them also lost their jobs. So we had a massive amount of residents that were now residing at the property that were out of work, and staff needed to give them additional support to manage their anxiety regarding this.
As the lockdown eased, we were able to support our clients in applying for recruitment agencies across the local area and across London, and supported our clients into a number of job interviews, and really successfully we were able to get more than half of our clients into full-time contracted employment. Because the next step is to support our clients to move on into their own private rented accommodation for a few of them, and we've been supporting them over the last few weeks to save up the money that they've been earning, to save up for a deposit so that they can then register with PRS, and we can support them into the next part, which would be to move on into their own accommodation, which is very exciting.
I'm first know have where to sleep, and I sleeping on different parks. Beginner. Begging, no. Issues with police. This, I don't know. It's everything what I need. I have person which to explain some issues. That for me is important, because from the past I have problem receive support, like address, where to sleep, sure place, good place, hot food, and support for looking for work, which is working. Good, nice project. Start working. Try to do not spend money for drugs, or spend less. Save money. Working harder to everything's happen. Maybe we'll learn something. Maybe we'll take some education more. And we're looking for better work, something which I like to do, and prepare for take my life back. Normal man I want to be. I say again, I just wanna return, take my life back.
The way that our clients have responded to the changes around them, and the stress of this incredibly difficult time has actually been really, really inspiring. I think I've just been so struck by their resilience. These are people that struggle to deal with day to day in any case, and who are kind of dealing with a number of complex issues at once. And their resilience is, as I said, it's been really, really inspiring. So they are, our client group especially, are people that are known as being difficult to engage or hard to engage, though we don't use labels like that within Flick, but the engagement levels have been really, really high. We've seen clients adapting to telephone support, internet support where that's been possible for them, keeping in really regular contact with their workers, being very understanding towards the pressures that the services have been under to support them, and being really, really flexible and accepting of that and understanding about that. So they've been really amazing, and it's been a joy to see their kind of resilience come through at such a difficult time for all of us.
And just having someone to talk to, someone to cry at sometimes, you know what I mean, has been a good benefit. It's been a big benefit for me.
I don't think I'd be able to get on without them. It's been a difference between sanity, insanity, and where I am now.
Learned about be more grateful.
Yeah.
Not all about be grateful. Be grateful for a phone call. Be grateful that people care. Like, you know, that there are people that care about homeless people in society. So
I think we've seen some really, really positive outcomes, especially in relation to street homelessness and, you know, prioritising physically getting people off the streets and into accommodation. You know, the fact that the pandemic has forced services to come together and the government to prioritise ending homelessness or reducing it as much as possible has shown that it really is possible. You know, there's been amazing stories of people who are previously out for, you know, months if not years, rough sleeping, coming into accommodation, coming into support. And I think, you know, that the urgency to provide accommodation for people has reduced maybe a lot of barriers that were there previously. So, you know, a lot of red tape, especially for clients experiencing multiple disadvantage who may have had lots of previous issues or evictions around housing. That can make people get quite stuck in homelessness.
I also never really thought about myself as an essential worker. And I really enjoyed going on the underground the other day at King's Cross Station and walking through and seeing the sign, "Turn back unless you are an essential worker," and I felt proud about that. That the work we do really helps people and they really need it.
She's loving the dog.
hey, it's a man now, aren't you? That's how you call on.
You've met Bambi in the lockdown. I'm allowed to bring Bambi to work now.
Hi everyone.
We're the Islington Floating Support Service.
Like all other services within Single Homeless Project, our team have also faced many challenges over the past 6 months.
And this has meant that we've had to adapt to the way we would normally work in order to continue to support our clients.
However, despite all the stresses and strains, there have thankfully been some positive changes that have come about as to how our service works.
One of the main positives is that we are all now able to work productively from home.
This has also meant that we've been able to spend more time bonding with our families, our partners, and of course, our pets.
With a much greater emphasis on using technology to attend virtual team catch-ups, professionals meetings and assessments, it has also forced us and our clients alike to become much more IT savvy.
This hasn't come without its difficulties, but by and large, we've been able to make it work.
As a service, we have additionally seen some growth with our commissioners asking us to take on the responsibility of
supporting individuals placed into hotels during the pandemic with their move into more stable accommodation.
For the last few months following the loosening of the restrictions, we have resumed some office working on a rota basis, albeit to a limited capacity.
For a lot of us, this has been a grateful return, as it has meant we've been able to reconnect with our colleagues, who we have become so used to spending time with.
It's similarly been nice to be able to feel a sense of normality in our roles again and get to see our clients in person once more.
It's a shame we can't all be together for the conference.
So from the Islington Floating Support Service, we hope that you're all safe and well, and here's to a brighter 2021.
Yeah, I'm still recording. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. That'll work.
The global pandemic has significantly impacted the homeless in London. At the beginning of lockdown, the homeless were supported into the hospitality industry and dispersed in hotels across London. Our work now centres around supporting these clients by initially rehousing them, but it's not just about accommodation. In line with our values, we provide continuing support to empower clients to shape their own futures.
So this is a private rented accommodation, single housing project, managed to find me, and it's absolutely brilliant. I couldn't ask for much more. Got my bathroom here, got an area. I've been so crazy the last 6 months and meeting so many people and doing all this and that. I've still got moments where it's just like, I think about it and I think, wow, to have come through this, it's just unbelievable. Being in the private rented accommodation, you know, it feels good, like having your own independence back. You know, you've got to take more responsibility for yourself, you know, you've got to have a bit more of that discipline, and you know, but you can still enjoy yourself as well with it, even though things are still a bit mad. But definitely with the support of Single Housing Project, they've kind of walked the path with me in a sense. It feels like we've all done it together. I think that was key for me to getting through, you know, all these little disadvantages, like of, you know, some places might not want to take me because I've been on the streets, it's got addiction issue, and having all of those things in one go, but a charity had faith in me, had belief in me. They're always there no matter what, phone, email, you know, there was always someone there. Something's definitely grown in me. I've gained strength and definitely being on my own, standing on my own 2 feet. Looking at actually doing something with my life now, you know?
I think it's really important to build a personal relationship with our clients, because a lot of our clients have a bit of a distrust for organisational support in general, and the main problems we have between successful outcomes for our clients are the threat of our clients disengaging, and a big part of this is distrust of organisational support. It's definitely very important in this role to take into account everyone's eclectic personality ranges and really work with them so that we can get successful outcomes and keep them engaged and keep them willing to speak to us when they have a problem.
Significant barriers such as the increase in the local housing allowance to the 30th percentile had to be challenged, as some landlords chose to increase rents above the benefit cap, making property unaffordable. SHP has successfully negotiated landlords and agents to adjust their rents back to the uncapped rate, so the clients could not only afford to stay in London, but can move on with their lives in terms of work and education without being penalised by unsustainable bills.
How did the start of lockdown affect your clients?
For my clients, those first few days, they were a bit of a nightmare. Having to relay to my clients that they need to look after themselves.
What was most obvious was how much the lockdown rules were affecting people who were already isolated, and it really sort of brought that to all of our attention.
So those are the ones that I was really quite concerned with.
I was sort of like semi on lockdown before COVID, as you know.
Yes.
I mean, like, I didn't even like to open my curtains.
Yes.
Well, SHP helped me out with food vouchers, helped me out with my benefits. You helped keep a roof over my head.
Yeah.
You know, I honestly don't know where I'd be now if it wasn't for you and SHP.
There's a disparity in how much people are connected with technology, and then the people who weren't really suddenly found themselves being really isolated. I've mostly noticed the effects on people who already had particular mental health issues that they were struggling with because of all of the fear and uncertainty around the rules, around the future, and it was really difficult to then support these clients because usually you'd have more understanding of what would happen in the future, but I actually didn't know what was going to happen either. So a lot of clients who then were calling me every day because of this new sort of, I guess, intimacy that we had with the clients from checking up on them every day and going through this experience together. So then I had a lot of clients who were contacting me frequently, but rather than doing practical support with them that I usually would, it was a lot of almost emotional support over the phone for people who were going through a mental health crisis, which was really difficult. I had multiple clients who, due to certain issues that they were already going through, and then the pandemic hit, were starting to report feeling suicidal. All of our clients have some form of housing issue, and that's why we're supporting them. So I think that when some of my clients would then had to spend all of this time in their house, which is where they were already having a certain issue, it made them feel all the more anxious and stressed out. So
government guidance brought up the fact that coronavirus might very well be affecting Black and Asian minority ethnic groups. I noticed the difference in what my clients were asking me. It affected my BAM clients so much more that it almost stopped them from going out completely. Because I don't want to die of coronavirus is what they actually said to me. There was a lot of anger as well, because nobody's being given any information.
I had one client who was experiencing really horrible sort of bullying and social behaviour, like racist comments shouted at her in her flat. She'd been staying with friends and family, and she worked, so she was trying to spend as much time away from the flat as possible. And then suddenly she was told that she had to stay in the flat 24/7, and I think that really triggered her mental health to decline rapidly. And she had called me on multiple occasions telling me that she was suicidal, had to get the police around to our house multiple times. It was really distressing for her, the whole experience, and for me, because I really went on that experience with her.
Being at home, I find I'm less distracted. I can concentrate at home. It was easier to find resources and put them into place.
I found that we were sharing more information between us, and then I found it easier to access resources for my clients in that way. This new way of working together, not just with us, but with other services as well.
Yeah.
Like everybody wanted to help more. There was just a lot more kindness towards my clients from other agencies.
Even, the clients sort of, adapted to this sort of community attitude to a point where they're even asking us, how are you?
Yeah.
My client once said to me, I've been really worried about you, Rio. Why have you not called me? And, I would be nothing without you.
All of these mutual aid groups that were set up at the start of lockdown, a lot of them have continued and have been used more socially, but it's just really nice for our clients to be more involved in the communities.
Since lockdown, I've been doing some food shopping for people that are self-isolating because of health issues. Once, twice a week, I go out and do a big shop for people. So then they've got everything they need. Get them their electric or gas top up if they need it. SHP has helped me to help others, to help myself as well.
Were there any positives from the experience?
There was so much more funding suddenly available. Also, a lot of the evictions were stopped, so that was great, and that gave us a bit of time to tackle certain problems, try and tackle people's arrears, and actually I think in the long term saved a lot of my clients being evicted. As support workers, I think it's been a really fast learning experience. We've had to really adapt to all of the new legislation and changes, which has been difficult at times, but I do think that it's probably given us skills that will make us better support workers in the future.
Since 2016, SHP has been supporting refugees resettled under the government Syrian Refugee Resettlement Scheme. During this time, SHP has worked in partnership with 3 local authorities and resettled over 200 adults and children, supporting them to access housing, education, and health services. The majority of refugee families had been resettled and were able to access mainstream services. At the onset of COVID-19, SHP had to adapt its approach to ensure that families still had access to this service provision, were kept informed of government guidance, and remained socially included.
قبل كنت دائما بحلم يكون عندي عائلة حلوة أعيش بين عائلتي، بس بعد كل شيء صار في خسرت ابني وطلقت، إنه حسيت إنه لا، إنه مو كل شيء إنه يكون عائلة، لازم واحد يكون حر فكرياً قبل ما يكون حر بكل شيء. دائماً بحس حالي كتير قوية، إنه بكافح لحالي ووقف لحالي، ما حدا سندني يعني، دائماً كنت أنا السند الوحيد لنفسي ولبنتي. أنا من النوع بحب أعتمد على حالي كتير، فبحاول إني حتى لو خربطت بشي كلمة إنه حاول أحكي حتى لو غلط. بفرح إنه عم بحاول إنه أتعلم، إنه أساوي شيء، إنه أعتمد على حالي، أتعلم اللغة، لأنه هون إجبار لازم تتعلم اللغة. إنه بدك تشتغلي أي شيء فلازم عندك يكون لغة، فهي لغة أساسية يعني لازم.
Within days of national lockdown, SHP had raised funds and sourced IT equipment, delivering tablets and laptops to families who had no access to digital technology. These items were used to deliver bespoke online ESOL sessions, providing an opportunity for families to learn English. This supports long-term objectives such as gaining employment and accessing higher education. It also helps build confidence and increase self-esteem, ultimately improving a person's overall well-being.
لا بنشوف بعض صوت وصورة على الواتس، بنقعد نحكي الشغلات اللي ما فهمت بتشرحي لي اياها، فبحس انه كتير مفيد هذا الشيء، بما انه بكون شيء مو فاهمه بتشرحي لي اياه بالعربي، فهذا الشيء بيساعدني اني احفظها بسرعه. انا اذا ما بعرف انجليزي دائما راح اتصل بروبا او لورا انه انا ما فهمت هاي الرساله، انا ما بعرف شو اتصل فيني من المدرسه، انه الجي بي شو حكوا لي. فانا لما اتعلم اللغه ما راح اتصل لحدا، راح اعرف لحالي ترجم الشغلات او افهم شو عم بيحكوا لي مشان ما يصير في خربطه بالشغلات ومواعيد وهيك شيء. فمشان هيك بحب اعتمد على حالي اني لازم اتعلم اللغه. لما بسوي لحالي بحس اني عملت انجاز، فبحس انه سهل انه اخذ موعد مثلا من الجي بي او اتصل بالمدرسه انه اسال، انه فيني اقدر يعني، بس ما فيني احكي بالطلاقه اللغه الانجليزيه.
222 Upper Street, Islington Council. This is where my day starts.
Hello Mark, how are you getting on?
Not bad.
I'm glad you're here. All good. You know what I wanted to ask you about? Do you remember we had that tenant, the vulnerable tenant, who didn't have the fob and she was sleeping under the...
Yes, at the back of the place, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did you get on?
Yeah, not bad. We actually found out what she'd done, she lost the keys, Paul. I've done referral on to SHP.
Right.
They're going to take her on because she's not been there too long, Paul. She's only been there about 3 months, so we were thinking about doing a bit of support of getting her just settled, really.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's all right.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Just what we need. Yeah. Is she familiar with the area? Is she out of the area? I got a phone call, but I wasn't familiar with any surroundings of her.
She's local area. She knows a bit, but she's a bit snookered at the moment, because lost the keys, all the messing about, and I think what she needs is just a bit of resettlement, Paul. So I spoke to the manager of SHP. They're on it as well, and they're going to do the generic team's going to be on it. Is that all right?
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. No, just. When it's all done, just give us a bit of feedback. So,
cheers, Paul.
We get a phone call.
Cheers, Paul.
Nice seeing you.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
My days can vary from day to day. I mean, I normally start at 222 Upper Street and then work with other areas like Holland Walk Housing Office, the Whittington Hospital, social services, and it's about, my day can actually be so varied. I can be going to work in the morning, end up spending the whole day with an urgent response referral that comes through, where I might have to do a brief intervention to see whether SHP would be able to support them. And it's about actually saying to the person, this is where we are, this is what we can do. And what the local authority have actually given me, I'm really blessed really, is able to show them that what we can do and how we actually go into accommodations and make a difference to the people's lives. Just received a phone call from the targeted team. There's been reports last week of an elderly person falling in their accommodation, and they've asked me to do a welfare check because they're concerned that she may be hoarding and her flat might need to be decluttered. So I'm going along there to do an assessment with the council, and we're going to see exactly what needs to be done. I've actually had some of the input into it and been told that what I will need to do, I'll have to speak to one of the managers in SHP, because what I feel will be needed, because the person actually might have to go into hospital, so we'll have to liaise with Whittington Hospital to see what support she will need when she comes out of there. Hello, how are you doing?
How are you?
Not so bad.
Just maintain our social distancing.
Yes, I'm sorry, yeah, how are you
Just to
doing?
discuss the rent of that man that we were discussing the other day.
Yes,
It's all good. We got him on direct payments and he seems well.
Brilliant.
So that's good. Nice to work with you on that one.
No problem at all. I've actually got a support worker who's going to be working alongside him. I could do support him with that as well.
Okay, just email me the contact details, that's fine.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, listen. And if you need anything else, just give us a shout as well.
I will do.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Cheers then. Thank you. Bye.